What led me to eating only God's food? Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Did you know that 1 in 2 Americans have heart disease today? There's going to be over 18 million people that will die this year from cardiovascular disease. There's going to be over 40 million heart attacks this year alone. And we discuss more about cancers than we do cardiovascular disease, even though cardiovascular disease kills more people in a year than all cancers combined. Here's the top questions that I get from being on carnivore. I have been on carnivore now for 300 days. I have some heart failure. I have major cardiovascular disease. I have 2 stents, and I almost died a year and a half ago from a heart attack. And I thought I was one of the healthiest people out there prior to. Didn't even think for a second that I had cardiovascular disease. I thought I was super safe from that. So I want to go through the top questions that I get from being 300 days now on carnivore. So what led you to adopt the carnivore diet after your heart attack? I thought I was one of the healthiest people on earth. I watched everything that I ate. So prior to finding I had cardiovascular disease, I would eat 5 small meals a day. And I did this for like 15 years. And I worked out 5-6 days a week. I would eat for breakfast, egg whites with a cup of oatmeal, maybe a cup and a half. I'd put a mountain of Splenda on it because it was no calories and no fat. For my second meal, I would eat very lean chicken and rice. For meal number 3, again, very lean chicken and sweet potato. For my 4th meal, I may have some fish and some regular potato. And for my 5th meal, I would drink a protein shake, protein bar, one or the other. And I would do that 6-7 days a week. If I ate out, I would eat Chipotle, and or I would go to Chick-fil-A and I would get the grilled chicken sandwich with the whole grain bun. And I would think that was super healthy. When I eat Chipotle, I would eat chicken and rice. Maybe have a little bit of sour cream, maybe, but that was really it, just chicken and rice. I had no clue it was all being cooked in seed oils. And I did this for years. So what led me to adopt the carnivore diet? After my heart attack, I started to research, like, how did I have cardiovascular disease? And I didn't know it. I was seeing 2 different doctors. I was seeing a longevity doctor as well as my general practitioner. And my blood pressure started to go up slightly about a year before my heart attack, and they immediately wanted to put me on blood pressure medicine. But no one ever asked me, hey, let's do a CAC score or a test to see if you have any calcium in your arteries. My blood work, the only thing that they would look at was my cholesterol, and my cholesterol was always good. It wasn't high. My HDL was really low. My LDL was in the middle of the pack. So it was no concerns. No one ever asked me to look at my triglycerides. My triglycerides were off the chart. It was 600-700, which is insanity now that you think of it. So after my heart attack, I started trying to find answers, and I found a new doctor, Dr. Philip Ovadia, who showed me through my blood work that I was pre-diabetic, that I had type 2 diabetes, and I had no clue that I was insulin resistant, which he, as well as many other studies, show that's what causes heart disease. And he told me the best option I had was to go on the carnivore diet. It would eliminate any of the sugar spikes that I have. It would stabilize my blood glucose level, and it would slowly over time stabilize my heart disease and heal my heart failure, which my doctor previous to said my heart failure would only get worse, and I needed to look in getting a defibrillator put in and a pacemaker. So just in case if I would die, it would shock me back awake. And I was scared to death, just like anybody else would be. I was, again, thought I was the healthiest person ever. I also discovered the carnivore community, who I've seen countless people, and I've listened to countless stories of people being healed from the carnivore diet, and from autoimmune to just different types of diseases, and feeling great again. So I wanted to give it a shot, and I want to see if this would help me. And within a month, I had amazing results. Within 3 months, it was spectacular. And within, now, I feel like a new person. And I'm supposedly still in heart failure today. I haven't had it tested in some time. and still have cardiovascular disease, but it is stabilizing, and I have the documents that shows that it's stabilizing. How has the carnivore diet affected your heart health over the past 10 months? So I'll start from when I had the heart attack. I could barely walk. I could barely walk half a mile. I couldn't walk uphill. I couldn't work out anymore. I was scared to death to really work out hard, because once my heart started going after a heart attack, you're scared. Like, if I get my heart going again, am I going to have a heart attack? Heart health was, from breathing to walking to working out, was absolutely horrible. Prior to my heart attack, it was great. Heart rate really never went up to above 120. Working out very hard. So how has it done since then? I can run for miles now. I broke my all-time record this morning, running a mile. I run a mile, work out, and then run another mile or walk. But I usually work out anywhere from an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, at least 4 to 5 days a week. And I feel absolutely amazing. My heart rate goes up to like 150, 160, and comes right back down. So my heart is getting stronger. I am still in heart failure, at least the last test that I had back in November, saying I'm still in heart failure, but I believe it's absolutely healing itself. What specific symptoms or health issues related to your heart disease have improved since going carnivore? So when I had my heart attack and I had 2 stents put in, there was also a third blockage, and it was around 90% blocked, but it was in a place where my cardiologist was concerned about putting a stent. Said it would be very difficult. Say, we want to keep an eye on it and maybe have a bypass later. That way it would be safer. So when I hired Dr. Philip Ovadia to do a much better sound assessment of my heart, they looked at my previous echocardiograms, they looked at my previous CT angiograms, and then I had a newest CT angiogram, and it was sent to Clearly. Clearly is an AI-assisted program that will actually look at your CT angiogram and tell you exactly how much soft plaque, how much heart plaque, where the plaque is, etc. And Dr. Philip Ovadia ran it through Clearly to see, if I have any concerns or any issues. Believe it or not, and I would have said again 2 years ago that this was absolutely crazy, but the third blockage I have that was at a 90% block is now at 75% blocked. It has went down, and all of my other cardiovascular disease has stabilized. I have 7% soft plaque, which is very low, and hopefully continuing through the carnivore diet, it will stabilize, and that will continue to get better. But I have proof through Clearly, as well as my CT angiograms, post heart attack and here recently, to show that it actually has improved and stabilized. How do you address concerns about the carnivore diet and heart disease, given the conventional advice to limit red meat? It's a great question. I was under the same mindset as many people out there, that red meat and any types of high saturated fat is what causes cardiovascular disease. So I ate very little over the last 15 years. I ate so little that when I did eat red meat, I would get the leanest possible meat, and then I would actually take a napkin after I cooked it, and I would pat off the excess fat to ensure that there was, it was completely fat-free. And I limited my red meat. I would always eat lean chicken. I would eat fish, and I would never eat probably a hamburger. I'd never eat out. I would never eat McDonald's. I would never eat a Hardee's. I would never eat, I was so concerned about what I put into my body. And I ended up almost dying from that really heart-healthy diet that I was actually on. So again, finding our carnivore community, finding the studies now that saturated fat does not cause heart disease. And if you think about it, red meat is the most nutritious food that is made from God, that He has gave to us, that heals our body. Prior to the 1950s, 1940s, in the 1800s, the 1700s, pre the Industrial Revolution, we ate beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. That's it. That was our diet. We'd eat fruit when it was in season. We'd eat vegetables when it was in season. But the primary staple of our diet was beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And did you know there was no heart disease prior to 1900? Like zero. The very first heart attack was in 1911, prior to all the highly processed foods cooked in seed oils. So, am I concerned? Absolutely not. I have seen where it is healing me. I have seen where I am recovering and my heart failure is improving, which my doctor said would not happen. And I know because I'm the one living it and exercising. How does a typical day of eating look like for you on the carnivore diet? I live a very traditional life. I have a trad wife. We live a very traditional family. I go out and I work. I travel many different cities every single week. She takes care of us. She is an amazing woman that makes all of my meals for me, so I can go out and provide for us and make sure that we have a great, safe, and productive life. But she does the most important parts, and that's take care of our family and our home. And she does such an amazing job at this. She cooks my meals for me. So what does a typical day look like? And again, I travel every week. I usually fly out on a Tuesday, fly home at the end of the week. I pack my meals with me for the week to make sure that I know exactly what I'm putting into my body. So for breakfast, if I'm home, I'll have scrambled eggs cooked in butter, and I'll have a little bit of bacon. For my second meal, I'll have ground beef, or I'll have a ribeye steak, or I'll have hamburger patties with some bacon on top, again cooked in butter. She cooks it in tallow as well. That's usually all I eat. And before I started carnivore, I was always hungry. I was like, I couldn't really get full. But now 2 meals is all I need, and I feel absolutely amazing if I'm traveling. And I have to carry meals on the airplane with me and pack them for the week. For breakfast, I'll have 4 boiled eggs. And then I'll have around 10 to 12 ounces of ground beef, travel in a glass container, or cut up pieces of steak. And that's it. Now, if I am hungry and I didn't pack enough meals with me and I need to eat out, what do? I'll go to Outback. I'll go to Outback Steakhouse. Outback Steakhouse actually cooks all their meat in butter. They don't use any seed oils. So I'll eat a ribeye steak from Outback, and that's it. That's my meals. It's quite amazing that you would think that your grocery bill would go up because you're eating so much meat, but our grocery bill actually goes way down. We don't hardly spend anything for groceries. I actually went and bought a cow from a local rancher. It's grass-fed, grass-finished. And we have freezers here that we keep all of our red meat in. We have chickens, so we have 25, 30 chickens, and we get plenty of eggs every single day, including 2 turkeys, which have great eggs, by the way. So that is a typical day. That is a typical week. And, I'm lucky to have such a trad wife that takes care of me, but I take care of her as well. So it's a great partnership between both of us. How has the carnivore diet impacted your overall well-being beyond heart health? I sleep better than I have ever slept. As soon as I go to bed, I fall right asleep. I wake up around 5:30 a.m. ready to go. Now, for the last 15 years when I thought I was super healthy, I would drag out of bed. And now I sleep like I've never slept. I have such great energy that, not only do I work out early in the morning, then I work all day. I am now going back to I now have a desire to do the things that I once lost to do. I am rebuilding a four-wheeler. I'm going to go race motorcycles again. I'm going to skateboard a half pipe that I've never done that I've always wanted to do. I'm hiking, fishing, hunting. Things that I lost the desire to do is now back. And it's amazing. I thought as you got older, you just lost the desire to do those things or being able to do those things. That's a lie. I'm 50 years old and I feel better today than I was when I was in my 20s. And I have a desire to do so many things. And I am going to do these things because it's back and I feel absolutely amazing. Another piece that's super important to me is now that I've expelled these chemicals from my body over the last 300 days and I eat only God's food. I eat what God made for us here on earth to help heal my body. I have become closer to God. I'm not as close as I am going to be. I'm continue to learn. I have a desire to be closer to God. I can hear God. I can feel God. Everything around us. And I think having those chemicals in my body for so long and not eating properly, it blocks the desire to be closer to God or the feeling of God's presence around 24/7. And He is here. He is wanting all of us to know this. He is wanting all of us to feel Him again. There is something happening in the world today. The world is transitioning back to being, looking forward to God, being a very spiritual nation. You can feel there is a revival coming. And God's wanting us to get the word out, to expel these chemicals from our body, become healthy again, and be closer to Him because of it. I know you may think this is crazy, but I promise you it's not. I'm closer today than I have ever been, and I plan on getting even closer as I can continue to learn His Word. What challenges have you faced on the carnivore diet, and how did you overcome them? When you first go on carnivore, body is healing, your gut is changing, and I know I had diarrhea like crazy. It was really bad. I didn't realize that was my body expelling the chemicals out and getting used to it. Now, you may think that without fiber, you're going to have some major issues, and you really can't go to the restroom without fiber. That's a lie. I have been eating only beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for 300 days. And I go to the restroom absolutely no problem whatsoever. Very consistent. So, but at first, that is a balance. You also have a lot of big cravings. So you're going from eating all these processed foods that the food industry made to make you crave and make you want more of, even though it's not really nutritious and it has no nutrients going into your body whatsoever. And you will crave those for some time, but it passes. You fight through, you continue to give yourself saturated fat, the food that God made for us, and all of that passes. And before you know it, you have zero cravings, zero hunger, and you'll feel absolutely amazing. And you won't even think of eating a cookie or an ice cream because you don't want to go backwards. How do you incorporate your faith into the carnivore journey? As I said earlier, I've only become closer to God. I have a desire to read my Bible every single day, and I listen to sermons. I go to church every week, and I do not have a desire to sin anymore. I was a sinner before, and I believed in God. I prayed before, but I was a sinner, and I no longer sin, and I have no desire to sin. And it's so much easier when your body is clean of these chemicals to really have control over your feelings, your emotions, and just feel so much closer to God. What advice would you give to someone with heart disease considering the carnivore diet? I would say, do not be scared. We've been lied to for 50, 60 years, 70 years. Ever since Ansel Keys did the studies in 1950 after President Eisenhower had his heart attack of what causes heart disease was saturated fat. And that is a lie. Saturated fat does not cause heart disease. It is the most nutrient dense food on earth that God created for us. Absolutely go on a carnivore diet. You will not only heal your heart disease, you will feel like yourself again, and you will heal so many different things. What does the latest research say about the carnivore diet and cardiovascular health, and how does it influence your approach? If you look up Dr. Philip Ovadia, if you look up Dr. Ken Berry, you can see that they can show many studies that show that a carnivore diet is the most healing food on earth. If you stick to beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, it shows in all the studies. The American Heart Association removed its saturated fat. I believe it was in 2016 or 14 that they removed saturated fat from their studies as a cause of heart disease. There is many studies today that are out there that show that red meat is not what causes heart disease. Butter is not what causes heart disease. Think about it. Our ancestors would have all died of heart disease, and there was zero heart disease. The Inuit has zero heart disease. The Amish have zero heart disease because they eat only foods that God made. It's no processed food. How has your physical strength or fitness changed since starting the carnivore diet? My strength has came back massively. I was always, again, I worked out hard before my heart attack. I lost a lot of muscle afterwards. I really couldn't work out hard until I started the carnivore diet again. And as I progressed and continued to get healthier and continued to get stronger, my strength has started to come back. I feel great. I have good muscle tone, good muscle size. I weigh 195 pounds, which is a good stable weight for me. I have very little body fat, and my strength is really, really strong. I feel, again, like I'm in my 20s again. What's one key takeaway you want listeners to remember about your carnivore journey? I have heart disease. I have heart failure. I am not looking for any sympathy whatsoever. I am wanting to share this, and I'd love for all of you to share this with anyone that found out that they have heart disease or they've recently had a heart attack from heart disease. That there is an answer out there. You don't have to take the 12 prescriptions and hope for the best. There is other answers. Your body is designed to heal. Food is medicine. And with the proper nutrients, eating the food that God made for us, your body will heal. So I am going to continue this carnivore diet that I have been on for 300 plus days and for the rest of my life. I am going to share how God's food has stabilized my heart disease and has healed my heart failure. And I'm going to continue to thrive. I'm going to post my journey, blood results, as well as my yearly CT angiogram to show that my heart disease has stabilized. I am not going to just live a long life. I am going to thrive. So please share. There's a lot of scared people out there. So please share. Stay strong. Eat the food that God made for us. And let your bodies heal. God bless.